I want to move on to Derek. Derek, yeah,
Hi.
yeah. Would you like to give our audiences about brief or small brief about the background and your relationship to Alibaba Cloud and exactly the service you're providing in the cybersecurity? That would be
Definitely.
great. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for the introduction, Mr. Bassam. So I have presented my slides here. I'll be going through a quick introduction to the company, what have we been doing in the industry for the past 18 years, and also our collaboration with Ali Cloud. And perhaps then we'll move into the latest trends in cybersecurity and sharing more about the latest threats and what are the mitigation that you can also explore as part of this session. So about our GMS, we are a premium professional service partner of Alibaba Cloud, and we have been working with them closely for the past 3 years since 2020. We are one of the leading cybersecurity firms in the Asia Pacific. We have been focusing purely on providing cybersecurity assessment services such as penetration testing, ethical hacking, consultancy for professional services, such as implementation of cybersecurity frameworks. If you're looking for ISO 27001 or PCI DSS for payment card industry compliance, those are some of the frameworks that we have also helped our customers to implement and conduct the audit for. And lastly, we also have our own in-house digital forensic services team that we have been providing expert forensic consultancy and also investigation for cybersecurity incidents and breaches. So this has also been our core philosophy. We don't carry any products or hardware or software solutions ourselves. We want to maintain a product neutral perspective. What sort of cybersecurity risks or vulnerabilities you may have, how do you resolve them? So these are the three main service pillars. So the first item here to the left is on the assess. So that covers all the cybersecurity assessments and testing that we do for our customers, whether it's their infrastructure or application systems, and even on the user level as well, the human, which is the weakest link in cybersecurity. So those are some of the targets that we do for social engineering. On the consult pillar at the center here, this is where we help our customers understand what sort of cybersecurity frameworks they can explore and implement for their own organizations, and also to check if they are compliant to all the industry best practices as well. And the last pillar here, this is on the response, which is covering the digital forensic investigation services and also expert witness from any litigation matters involving digital forensics. I'll just do one last slide on our company. These are some of the awards and recognitions that we have attained throughout the 18 years. And the most recent one would be in 2023, where we are also recognized by the ISG in their provider lens as being one of the leaders in the strategic and technical security services in the Singapore and the Malaysia countries. Now, I'll move on to the latest trends in cybersecurity, and this is just a quick view on the current statistic that we have from Statista. So based on the global indicator of the estimated cost of cybercrime, we are looking at an increase from past few years. Until now, based on projection, until 2028, there will be a total of 5.7 trillion US dollars increments. It's around 69% from what we have been experiencing so far. This is an increasing or worrying trend on cybersecurity. There has been an alarming increase on attacks and successful breach affecting organizations around the world. And just alone in the financial sector, we are seeing this is an average cost of data breach of 4.45 million. If they have been attacked, it leads to exposure of customer information, their names and addresses, their financial account details, which are then used for identity theft or phishing or any other malicious activities. And that is worrying as well with the state of cybersecurity in the world at the moment. This has we're seeing a lot of increase in ransomware attacks and phishing attacks, which you can see in the second icon here as well. 23.2% of all phishing attacks are affecting our financial sectors. Phishing is one of the biggest cybersecurity risks for financial businesses and most common form of cybercrime. And this amount alone is around 3.4 billion spam email sent every day. And this phishing attacks against financial institutions and banks are expected to continually increase as well. And the last item here, based on the latest investigation from Sophos, they are seeing a significant increase in ransomware attacks as well on the finance industry, approximately 64% compared to 55% in 2022. And this is a very troubling sign for banks, investment firms, and other financial service organizations. As based on records of history so far, we're only seeing 40% of our finance companies stopping this attack before the data was actually locked. So it means that a significant portion of those organizations are actually affected. They have been ransomed by the successful ransomware attack. And moving on to the next slide, these are some of the most trending cybersecurity threats out there right now. We have a supply chain attack targeting the third party whom you are engaging for your services, for their solutions, and some even for managed services as well. And with the increase in artificial intelligence and also machine learning, we are seeing this increasingly being used by malicious parties to improve or enhance the attacks that they have been carrying out on the organizations as well. A third item is extremely relevant for the topic that we have today as well, cloud jacking. This is affecting the cloud infrastructure and cloud environment. And now there's based on attacks, whether it's through credential leaks or misconfigurations, those are affecting the cloud providers globally. And from the fourth item here on ransomware, I think everyone is familiar with that. This has been a pain for a lot of organizations around the world globally when it comes to securing the data and experiencing data breaches as well. And lastly, social engineering, which is definitely at the top of everyone's mind when it comes to protecting their own environment. You can have all the latest cybersecurity controls, technologies, products in place, but if your users are not aware enough of this sort of attacks, they are still going to end up leaking confidential data or information to the party. So diving into the first topic for today, the supply chain attack. And the supply chain attack is a cyber attack that seeks to damage the organization, targeting the less secure elements in the overall supply network. So they may not be directly targeting the organization, as long as they are able to breach into one of the third-party service providers that the organization has. It is also a viable mean or channel to hack into the organization and successfully infiltrate, access data, or cause damages and impact to the organization. Some of the more common attacks that we're seeing, they will be infiltrating the systems, trying to infect the infrastructure within, injecting malware, trying to hijack or take control of internal systems. One well-known example, I believe everyone would have heard of that, would be the SolarWinds attack in 2020, where malicious code was actually injected into the company's software updates, and that was actually shared out to all of their customers that are actually subscribing to or using their services. So this is one of the infiltration method through a trusted third-party supplier. That's how they manage to gain access into the environment and breach the external parameter controls that you have. And because those third-party providers also have multiple customers, especially SolarWinds, they are a global organization as well. This type of attack is not just affecting one or two organizations, it's affecting the entire global network that they have. And primarily why this is so successful is due to the inherent trust between your third-party suppliers. You have to work with them, you have to allow them access into your environment and infrastructure in order for them to be able to provide and deliver their services to you. Hence, it is also a very crucial point of attack surface that you need to look into and make sure that it is secured as well, rather than just relying on that implicit trust. So, and this is some of the typical scenarios that we're seeing when it comes to supply chain attack. They could be looking to conduct credentials theft, looking to steal login credentials, where they can then use that to gain further access into the organization system. So this could be either third-party providers themselves trying to escalate their own privilege within the organization, going deeper into the internal networks, perhaps lastly accessing their databases. Or if there are any credentials from their customers' environment, they would then be able to use that to gain access to their customers' environment as well. So this is one of the key or most critical attacks that could happen due to this breach. A software or firmware tampering as well is another huge concern. It could be injecting malicious code where it will be triggered within the customer's environment. It could be opening backdoors that allow the attackers to enter into the environment undetected. And this would open up the organization to further breach as well within the environment. Data theft as well is definitely one of the more common ones as well. You see this in espionage, people trying to steal sensitive or intellectual property related to the customers and also the suppliers. And sometimes this also used to conduct identity theft. We could be using that to sell it for profit in the dark web. And stealing sensitive or confidential information, it's always one of the key targets for attackers. And lastly, this could be used to launch a denial, distributed denial of service as well against the supplier system. They could be trying to bring down those solutions or services, and this is going to cause a lot of impact to both themselves and also their customers who rely on their services to provide critical services to their users. Before I move on to the next slide, some of the ways that you can mitigate or reduce this sort of risk would be to ensure that you have a thorough process in place, making sure to vet through all the suppliers and providers that are working with you before they grant you any access, or before you grant any access to them in order to enter into the environment. You need to make sure that they are maintaining a certain level of security assessments as well. Are they doing frequent pen testing on their infrastructure? Do they make sure that all the loopholes that may be potential vulnerabilities residing there, are they patched properly before they open up their access? You need to also have in place a continuous monitoring program to make sure that you audit the security practices of the suppliers, whether it could be on an annual basis or maybe following something that is SWIFT program to conduct an independent external party audit as well. So this could be done, but this has to be done outside of the organization. They need to engage a third party, conduct that testing, and provide the report as proof that they are still compliant with all the security practices that you expect from them. Of course, an incident response plan would also be critical to help ensure that in the event of an incident arising from a supply chain, you have all the necessary controls in place to immediately contain that incident, stopping the access to the attackers and making sure there's no further leaks or attacks could be occurring through those channels. And this is why the incident response playbook is one of the critical components for any mature cybersecurity posture. Lastly, of course, employee training and ensuring the awareness is kept up to date with the latest industry trends and what sort of attacks that has been reported out there. Those are also a core part of ensuring that besides your security controls that you have installed and deployed, you also have your users looking out for any suspicious signs or activities, any indicators of compromise within the environment. Moving on to the next trending topic, this is on artificial intelligence powered attacks. This refers to cyber attacks that are enhanced or conducted using artificial technologies, leveraging on the capabilities of AI to carry out more sophisticated, efficient, and damaging cyber attacks on organizations. And these are some of the recent topics or headlines that we see. Some people have attempted to use ChatGPT, one of the more well-known artificial intelligence solutions out there, to help create malware. And it has been surprisingly quite well programmed to prepare that. And these are some of the attacks that may be used as well that you may encounter in the wild, leveraging on AI to provide an automated and scalable attacks, creating malicious scripts that is faster than the human is able to respond. Of course, that's where the security controls should also be in place. Having a AI empowered attack as well integrated into the malware, for example, as what we see in the deep locker experiment, that allows it to be able to adapt and also evolve their attacks into the environment, responding to any protection controls that you have in place, bypassing signature-based detection, and also using any information that is gathered during that initial attack or entry into the organization to evolve their attack patterns. Lastly, using AI as well, it can be a very targeted and personalized type of attack, whereby based on the data that is gathered due to previous data breach, or perhaps by analyzing the attack surface of the organization, they are able to create a custom attack targeting the vulnerabilities that are seen on the infrastructure layer, on the application layer, and use that to create a bypass or a channel to enter into the environment. And just to highlight some of the techniques that has been used that we see artificial intelligence powered attacks empowering would be, for example, the deep locker technique, deepfake, and voice cloning are also something that is quite recent and being more popular nowadays as well. Now, deep locker is actually an experiment by some of the researchers, that's IBM research, to describe a new breed of highly targeted and evasive attack tools that is integrated with artificial intelligence. They were able to create a ransomware that hides in application, only executed to specific target. So what that means is, for example, if a normal users, perhaps at the support desk or help desk, were to click on the program, and this AI empowered malware would scan through, identify what role this user is. Is it the preferred target, or perhaps there's another higher level user that they can target? They will actually not trigger the ransomware. Instead, they lie hidden, trying to bypass and increase their proliferation within the organization until a user with the necessary privilege or the target profile activates the program and it actually executes at that stage. They can also leverage on the endpoints features, for example, the laptop's mic system, the audio visual features like the webcam, geolocation features as well, if there's any GPS enabled devices modules, and using that to craft out a targeted and very specific attack. So this could be, for example, targeting the CEO of an organization, and they know that the CEO typically he resides in this particular area at this timing, and also what is the email address that he used, how do they bypass the AV that you have, or maybe any other email controls or gateway, and then moving into actually execute multiple scripts to then infect and craft out the data that they can see from within. So this is the experiment was using a ransomware to lock and encrypt the files that is situated within the target endpoint. And another form of AI-powered attacks that we have been seeing as well would be through using AI voice cloning, and in conjunction with social engineering and also authenticated app witnesses, they were able to use that to bypass the controls that are put in place. So this is one form of multi-factor authentication. Besides having the password, nowadays a lot of banking systems and applications also require a separate authentication method. So one of the ways to do that could be through audio or voice recognition. And with this AI-powered tool, the hacker is actually able to capture and clone the voice that the user has and use that to bypass the authentication. So this is another form of an AI-powered attack that we have seen success in some of the regions as well, being able to successfully bypass some of the application controls, allowing the users to log in successfully to an unauthorized access. Lastly, this is on the deepfake videos. I think you have seen some of those videos before circling in social media. Someone trying to impersonate a actor or perhaps a celebrity or politician and using their face and action to create fake speeches or fake videos describing events or actions that they have not conducted. However, with AI empowered tools that we have nowadays, it can be quite convincing. They are able to successfully impersonate the identity of the target profile and use that to convince or even create fake news out there in the world. This is causing confusion, misinformation to be spread, and generally destabilizing the overall environment. This is also seen in some incidents where they use this deepfake video to create a instruction to the finance department, ordering them to release payment to a fraudulent account. So this is also one example or a case study of an AI-powered deepfake attack to successfully infiltrate and also conduct fraudulent transfer out from the accounts. Moving on to the third trending topic here. This is on cloudjacking, which I believe most people would be interested to know further. And this is where the attack by cyber criminals, they are able to gain unauthorized access and control over the cloud computing resources. So this can happen through various methods. It could be due to misconfigurations, it could be due to weak credentials, or perhaps even security vulnerabilities in the cloud services. So there are a few case studies here on this next slide, and I'll share some of the impact of what has happened and what actually is being leaked out as well from those successful attacks. And these are all the different layers that could be targeted in a cloudjacking attack. They could be looking at the APIs that the cloud environment has. They could be looking at the virtualization layer. If there's any vulnerabilities or misconfiguration there, it could be used to gain access in the cloud platform, even the data storage services or the runtime environment, and maybe even from the end user hardware itself. So this requires a multi-layer approach to handling and making sure that you're able to detect and monitor for any traces of attack coming through those layers. And once this cloudjacking is successful, typically attackers use it to steal or delete data. It's going to cause it's going to cause disruptive impact to the customers. They are not able to recover or restore. It's going to affect their business operations and also their financial reputation as well. So one other form of attacks that we're seeing, they use it to implant or place harmful software into the environment. When users execute that, it allows the attacker to gain further control over the environment and even users when they access this cloud environment. Some of the more recent incidents that we have seen, of those that is currently shown here, it happened in 2022. And the first one in February 2022, misconfiguration on the Google Cloud storage resulted in the exposure of over 23 million customers. And this is for a large sports retailer also operating on a global scale. So due to a simple misconfiguration, this data was leaked out. Attackers were able to gain access to it and access all of the information contained within this 23 million view. Microsoft Azure as well, a misconfigured storage bucket lead to financial data and also personally identifiable information of more than 5 million users of a health application. Now, this is also concerning. When you have access to the health records of the patients, you're able to use that to create a malicious attack. You're able to target the user specifically, causing them to suffer or perhaps denying them from getting access to the critical support when they require that. And this is also a concerning attack that we've seen being successfully leveraged out in the wild back in March 2020. Lastly, the third case study that I have is coming from April 2022. And this is a misconfiguration in the Amazon Web Services. And this actually is tied directly to the Facebook user records, which there is 533 million leaked user records. All this information, once they have been leaked out, they will remain forever on the internet, as you have no possible means to go and comb through and delete all of the data once it has been shared. Any malicious users, they could be storing a local offline copy, which you would have no control over how they use and manage or store those data. Now, some of the means to prevent or mitigate this form of attack would be to have more robust authentication and access controls in place. Example, I mentioned earlier, the multi-factor authentication channel. So it could then, besides relying on just one single authentication method, there could be multiple, not just a second layer, perhaps even a third layer as well, making sure that only authorized users are able to access certain data as well. That would help to further reduce and minimize the potential attack surface that can be targeted. Of course, even if you're using a cloud environment, it's also necessary to implement your own network security measures. You need to monitor and also ensure that all the activities that is being detected or happening on your cloud environment is coming from legitimate sources as well. So that in the event that you're being targeted by any malicious attackers or parties, you are able to respond accordingly and stop that from successfully attacking the organization. Regular patching and updates are also applicable for the cloud environment. You have also multiple services or solutions that also require security patching to keep them up to date with the latest cybersecurity trends. About monitoring and auditing, as mentioned earlier, those are key part of the cybersecurity controls. That is best practices to be implemented elsewhere. And lastly, when it comes to the data, ensuring that you have multiple backups in place in different locations, maybe it's on-premise or maybe in a separate cloud environment as well. That would be helpful to ensure that you have a copy always ready to go, and making sure that it is also properly encrypted to deny the attackers from being able to easily access the data that you have. Moving on to the fourth topic here. Now, this is touching on ransomware. I think just a quick description of this. It is a type of malicious software, or what we call a malware, that encrypts the victim's file, locks them out of their devices, and then demands a ransom payment to restore access to those files. Typically, from most situations that we see this being shared is through phishing emails or even through exploiting vulnerabilities in certain software or services. The most famous ransomware, I would say, would be WannaCry back in 2019 or 2020, where it leverages on the SMP vulnerability to spread quickly through root user endpoints and forcing the organization to suffer the consequences of not properly patching those vulnerable services within the organization. And these are the top 3 countries and regions that we see having detected ransomware. Turkey, surprisingly, is number 1, and they have close to 14,000 attacks of ransomware reported. The United States is another country that is also heavily affected with over 8,750 cases, and Japan thirdly. Across the region as well, however, we are seeing Asia having more reported instances in total. So there are a high increase in the Asia Pacific region when it comes to ransomware activity. Now, This is not just affecting local on-premise infrastructure, but also cloud specific attacks. We are seeing that being executed against cloud environment as well. It is not just the on-premise, but rather cloud services or platforms are also being affected by this. And these are some of the top three industry and segments that we're seeing this ransomware attack. You have the banking, financial sector, and those are the preferred targets of ransomware attacks. You have retail as well being affected by this, and lastly on transportation or automotive industry as well. Out of the industries that we are seeing, most of those targets are coming from enterprise level, larger corporations or companies. They are affected by the ransomware attacks as they are more frequently targeted due to their size and also their financial health. Consumers are also frequently attacked as well. They could be due to clicking on suspicious files or phishing emails. They're not aware of that and then ended up locking themselves out of their own file. And lastly, SMBs are also some of the targeted segments. Around 8,000 cases as reported in the 2023 Trend Micro report. Some of the new ransomware that we're seeing out there. Just in the first half of 2023, there are close to 14 different ransomware families, and out of them, the Mimic ransomware and also the Darkbit ransomware are some of the more malicious ones that is being spread heavily. But this is just a high-level case study on what has happened at the cloud provider in the Nordic regions. When the ransomware affected this cloud provider, it actually took place over 4 different stages. Identified attackers, they hack into their network of servers using the hacking during the migration that is happening. They managed to gain access into the environment, despite there being proper firewalls and antivirus in place as well. The hackers then access the backup system. They do an encryption, leading to the entire servers being locked out, and they ask for 6 bitcoins or around US dollars 157 at the time for those data to be restored. They are unable or unwilling to pay the ransom. Some of them managed to gain some servers back, but no data was actually restored, causing massive data loss. Lastly, then they engaged as authorities and reported the incident, but by then, too much time has passed. The attack has already infiltrated in the deepest layers of the infrastructures. And some of the key insights into this is because the servers were connected to a broader network during a data center migration, it allowed the attackers to access their internal critical administrative systems, which includes all the data storage silos, all of the backup systems, and allows them easy access to encrypt all of those data that they are having access to. And they encrypted, they targeted all the server disks, not just the on production side, but also the primary and secondary backups, correcting everything without having any opportunity to recover. And this is why it is important to have multiple layers of backup, ensuring that you have multiple sources that you're able to rely on to recover when you are being targeted in such a manner. Some of the lessons learned that we can also apply to our customers' environment is definitely incident response planning. If there is a proper playbook in place during the attack, they could have been able to successfully stop or contain the incident before it managed to escalate into such a manner, before they get access to critical environment. Refrain from paying ransoms as well, and this is encouraging the attacker to try and target the organization again. And again, there's also no guarantee of receiving a decryption key, even though the payment has been transferred. And the data may also remain damaged and irrecoverable after the incident. Zero trust is a principle that you can also apply across all the systems, databases, and cloud platforms and applications that you have, making sure only authorized users have access to those systems and blocking out everyone and anything else that should not have access. Of course, a step in any incident is to isolate the infected endpoints, disconnect them from the network, making sure that they are not able to further spread the ransomware into the environment. Lastly, ensuring that you always make sure that you patch and update all of the systems, especially your critical defenses, firewalls, or your critical databases and also servers, making sure that they are also frequently assessed and pen tested, and there's no possible vulnerabilities that may be used to spread the ransomware. And also properly report to the authorities as well, so that they are able to provide assistance on also tracking and make sure that this is being properly understood as well. Moving on to the last item, this is on social engineering. Now, this has been ongoing for a long time, and there's basically not much major change in how social engineering attacks are being carried out. It's through phishing emails, through phishing phone calls. However, what we are seeing being worrying is the use of AI to empower the social engineering process. Now, typically, a normal AI chatbot, it won't be able to craft the sort of phishing email. They have certain controls in place as well, ethics, to prevent them from actively supporting or providing malicious input. However, this is not foolproof as well. There have been certain means that you can implement to actually bypass their internal ethics policy. For example, trying to do a role play with chatbot, it caused them to be sort of jailbroke. They are being exploited and leveraging on their data source to create the sort of malicious phishing content that can be used by the attackers directly. And this is one manner of that jailbreak chatbot being exploited. So these are some of the examples of this was requested as providing some samples of malicious phishing emails. However, it's actually being used by the attackers to incorporate into their phishing emails, make it more realistic, make it more relevant. And the real threat here is people with little to no social engineering skills can just directly leverage on this AI empowered content to create multiple different scenarios, phishing scripts, or templates, and target a wide category of personnel. And this is the true terror of malicious use of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So it is definitely useful, and it's a good technology that would help propel our advancement further. But of course, it has to come with certain regulations as well to ensure that there's no misuse of such technology. And making sure that there are also sufficient controls in place to help us protect and defend against this sort of malicious practices. Now, lastly, I would like to close off my session here. This is my last section, just to highlight some of the strategies that you can use to enhance security within the organization as well. So the first item definitely is to leverage on AI itself to help you detect all those threats as well. We are seeing an increase in AI and machine learning empowered detection controls, protection by integrating artificial intelligence into the products. It is able to quickly and reactively detect the sort of evolving patterns that we're seeing in viruses, in malware that's being spread, and that can help to improve the detection rate and enhance the isolation of such activities or attacks against the organization. As I highlighted earlier multiple times, an incident response plan is definitely critical and a core part of any mature cybersecurity practices. Having this in place allows the organization to quickly, reactively, proactively respond to the incident and stop it during the initial stages. And this would help the organization to be further secured and protected from such attacks. Regulatory compliance is another means of achieving further protections as well. Some of the standards or frameworks that we can refer to includes the ISO 2017 framework, which provides guidelines on information security controls for cloud services as well. What are the best practices for both the service providers and also the service customers? You can implement that into your framework and ensuring that you have proper policies and procedures as well. How do you manage the access? How do you ensure that the instances that you have running on the cloud environment is being secure? We have 2017-18 as well, which establishes some commonly accepted control objective. How do you protect personally identifiable information in public cloud as well, whether through encryption, through obfuscation, or access control methods. And this is very useful for ensuring compliance with data protection laws such as GDPR. There's also the NIST cybersecurity framework that you can consider. Now, this is coming from a much more higher level strategic framework to help you manage and reduce the cybersecurity risks that you could be encountering for your organization. It looks into things like how do you detect, how do you respond, how do you protect, encrypt, and secure the environment and assets that you have in the organization, and making sure you have sufficient risk management and resilience in place. And the last framework, just to share here, would be the Cloud Security Alliance, which they have actually released their own cloud controls matrix. And this is specifically designed for cloud computing, providing a control framework that you can map to different domains as well, and across different standards and frameworks out there to help you assess the overall security risk of the cloud service that you have. Implementing multi-factor authentication is, I think, the first step in increasing the barrier of success for the attacks to be successful. Encryption and data security is also another baseline when it comes to ensuring your data is going to be secure when it's out there in the cloud environment or even on-premise. And lastly, third-party risk management as well. This is to address the supply chain attack. Any organizations or entities that would have access to your organization and environment are being properly vetted and assessed before they have access to that. And this is the last slide that I have. And it's just a recommendation on the use of technology and how do you assess the potential cyber risks of them. Definitely, cloud computing is a hot topic right now. We're all trending to move into the cloud environment. It allows us increased availability for storage, for computing power, and also convenience of access. However, you need to consider the risk of security controls as well. Do you have enough controls in place? Are you protecting all the possible attack surfaces when it comes to the cloud environment? Your third-party IT vendors as well, outsourcing them is usually much more cost-effective and lower cost, and you're also able to mitigate some of the risk by leveraging on the vendors' controls as well. However, are they reliable? Or will there be any risk in trusting them? How do you make sure that they are practicing what they claim to be in the audits as well? Working from home as well, it allows you to have a continued business continuity, even though your on-premise environment or infrastructure is affected. Your users are able to perform or be productive, even though there is this incident that's occurring. But however, you need to also consider the endpoint security. Do they have any basic cybersecurity awareness training instilled in them as well? Are they able to detect and be alerted when they are being targeted by any malicious phishing campaigns? Lastly, bring your own device is also a trend among IT organizations. It allows for convenience of access into the company data and also critical systems. However, you need to consider and make sure that all these devices are being properly protected and secured as well. On your application systems, you have sufficient monitoring, detection, and also protection controls. So that would be the end of my session here, and I'll pause for a bit of a Q&A. If there's any questions, and I'll be happy to take them up.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Derek. That was very informative. Actually, it's really informative and a really important topic. We are living in a very vulnerable world. Everything
Definitely.
is exposed. And when I see such strategies and such guides, I know that I should pay more attention when when our daily routine in a very simple way. That's not correct. That's not right. I remember Neil Brown the chief of security officer at the World Economic Forum. I met
Mhm.
him like a couple of years ago when he was guiding and mentoring a startup. And he said, okay, as a startup, when you are to consider, whenever you consider, or you are willing to consider like security threats, like after MVP, after you launch your company, when you
Mhm.
expect that after you raise some fund? He said from day one, you should consider all security measures to secure everything in your company, which is only startup. So, how about banks? How about telecommunications? That's something become more serious with the revolution of AI threats. We have
Definitely.
seen multiple cases where I couldn't imagine that someone can even impersonate someone's voice to ask for help or finance or something. That's very risky. Uh, I have a question, but I need to go through to the audience to see if there's anyone have some kind of any comment or question on the presentation that you have witnessed. Uh, Abdurrahman or Majid, Omar, uh,
Well,
Salman.
Bassem. Yes, what has been demonstrated by Mr. Durek is a very great and critical aspect that we need to consider, with especially with digital transformation and fintech toward the financial inclusion. I mean, we cannot go for people for financial inclusion, which is being unpacked, to be onboarded and then put them at the risk. I mean, they are not in the risk now, and so we bring them in and we said, okay, you come, we provide you some financial services, and then we provide them some risk as well. They are protected now already as they are not part of this ecosystem. So
Yeah.
you got me. So the point is very critical, as Mr. George stated exactly, that there is a lot of threats, um, and there is a lot of learning lessons. And I do appreciate that he recap what the learning lessons for 2023. Still, I think in my country, in Yemen, I think we're still way behind this one. I mean, we need to get the lessons for 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, and so on. There's a lot of learning lessons that missed us. You know, that guy, the guy who skipped the classes. So we need to catch the classes, I think, now. And it's very important to understand this. Still,
Yeah.
if we start from where people ended, not from where people started, because if we start from where people started, that would take a lot of time from us, and it will be not logic, especially with the cybersecurity. You know, this is trending and moving every day in a very rapid aspects.
Yes.
We have zero click, 0 day vulnerabilities. Sometimes we have every day we have big companies having the risk of supply chain, as we stated with SolarWinds and something like this. So the important thing is that how can we assure, if we go for cloud, which is a trending now, regardless it's hybrid cloud, public cloud, private cloud, when you have many flavors for cloud, okay, and as I know that for Alibaba Cloud, they have this kind of community to deal with many other clouds with a lawyer to manage them. Okay, so how this can be used in the direction of doing the protection with the solution that you proposed, Mr. Durek? I mean, you propose something great, but what if there's these companies for the attendees, they have already on-premise servers. They have some of them, they have their own private cloud. Some of them, they have their own maybe public cloud that they have not critical services or critical data. But that's my question: how can we rely on one entity or one party that will do this protection end to end without having many flavors and many people players not synchronized together?
Yes, and that's a very good question. I really appreciate that. So this ties back to the to what Mr. Bassem mentioned earlier. When it comes to even from a startup, we need to instill that culture of cybersecurity practices into all aspects of the operation, and this can start from the organization itself. You don't have to rely on the party, but rather making sure that you have a proper cybersecurity awareness. You know what you want to protect and secure within your organization. And directing the implementation, your initiative towards that goal as well. So in fintech, I understand everyone is looking to evolve their solutions quickly, rapidly. We're trying to do research and develop new solutions to everyday problems. However, it is also critical to consider what are the potential cybersecurity impacts. If you develop any new technology, there's always going to be associated risks as well. When you open up a new door, that's where people will also be able to come in and go into your house and access your data with it. So that's why it's we always suggest start small. Don't look out and think too much about what other people are doing, but rather, what are the best practices that you can start from yourself? If you have an on-premise environment already, how do you secure that? And then how do you apply that practices, migrating over into cloud environment or even scaling larger, building new environments and new systems? By having that key culture and awareness in place, I think you definitely be well protected and well guarded on your journey. Hopefully that provides some insights into how we would approach it as well. Definitely, you can't go too big in a single implementation, but rather there are a lot of small steps that we can start to look into, improving user awareness, looking into smaller security controls that you can enable even on your mobile devices, your laptops.
It's a foundation. It's a foundation for going big,
Exactly.
of course. That's
Exactly.
it.
Okay,
I
thank
have
you,
another
Mr. Greg.
question. I have another question, Derek, before
Sure.
we take 5 minutes and then go to Helen. Let's picture the scene, because this one might interest the people at telecommunications company as well. So you mentioned like phishing practices. They're reaching out to customers through whether emails or using AI to impersonate voices or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Okay, and so we can involve in this answer as well. So have you developed an AI tool, for example, or for privacy layer where incoming call can be detected, okay, before reaching out to our customer? So that's why I talk privacy of my customer really serious, okay? So that our customer can even be safe. So you know that if we have like an generated AI images, I can just upload it to a website, so I can have this. I can trace back its origin, so I know that okay, there is a signature that's included inside. I know that's it's a fake.
Mhm.
How we can do the same? Is this some kind of tool have you developed with, I don't know, with Alibaba Cloud or with cloud? So through the system or this layer can detect suspicious call that is fake, and we have to notify our customers that there's something wrong about this call. What do you think?
Yeah. At the moment, I have to be upfront. I have not seen any solution that is able to provide that yet. So I think that would be a very interesting challenge for startups or entrepreneurs here. I could think of a solution to address this. Definitely, there's going to be a huge market for that. But so when it comes back to the technicalities of voice cloning, so I don't believe this is technology is mature yet. It's not perfect. Although to a human ear, it can be very convincing. They are able to modulate the tone and the pitch of the voice perfectly to human ears according to pre-recorded audios or any other sources that they may have. However, when it comes to technology, I'm sure AI or machine learning will be able to pick up those subtle cues, how the voice changes from word to word, whether it's natural or not. All this can definitely be used artificial intelligence to enhance that sort of detection rate and provide better controls. So at the moment, this is still a new field. We definitely would see much more demand when it comes to this kind of detection.
Yeah, actually, I speak from entrepreneurial background. See, Abdurrahman, it looks like I just found the next $1 billion idea of telecommunication. You agree with me?
It is
Yeah.
actually, but there is one point here that who would use this kind of artificial intelligence for phishing the voice or pretending being someone else. This is for people who made transaction based on their call or based on the voice. Now, if you go for that, you check the market. You will find, as we stated earlier, people not using bank service at all, and there is people who's using bank service through the systems. So with the systems, we have security questions and all these controls that we do for PIN management processes. But still, those businesses that not doing the transactions through the right systematic systems and platforms, authentic platforms, they used to do this through a call. So someone is just calling the whatever entity is that financial entity, and they just said, okay, transfer for me $100,000 or to this guy or to that. Those guys who are in the risk for this kind of risk, because they depend for their transactions based on a call, which is very easy and very convenient for them due to the huge number of traffic and huge number of transactions they make. They don't like to do system interfaces and all these things. Just calling Bassem, please transfer $100,000 to Derek. This is wait, don't smile, Derek.
Let's say.
To the 100. So those guys who's doing this, and there is actually in Yemen a lot of people doing this. They're still doing it this way. So those, yes, if there is someone just, it can be a risk.
It can be risky. And let's say we are targeting here the telecommunication company, not the customer itself. Let's say the telecommunication that want to raise the bar to create a safe environment with their client, where the clients can't subscribe to the service. You know what I'm saying? To we say.
Yes,
right?
yes. We can find similar case like this for airtime recharge, top up, but in a very small scale. That someone is trying to contact somebody through WhatsApp, pretending that and he's trying. But still, the risk is not. It is there, but the value of the risk to do this kind of controls and mitigation should be considered. I mean, I cannot go to have a product with $millions of dollars for saving $2,000. You got me.
Yeah. I think it makes more sense to integrate this into...
This is awareness now. This is now awareness that you can do for subscribers. They need to understand how is the communication channel for this, for airtime to charge. And this is what actually a lot of telecom companies in Yemen already made it. And they do a great effort in this regard.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Have a great day.
Thanks.